Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. In this video, we would like to talk about translating instructive text and recipes. But before we start, let me introduce our team members. The first one is SHAHNAZ LOUISE with number 20. And the next is WAHYU SETIAWAN with number 255. And the last one is me, Muhammad Dani Firmansyah with number 256. Next is table of content. So in this video, we would like to talk about four content. The first one is research and find relevant sources. It's like book, articles, and journals that discuss the topic. The second one is provide background on the translation theory that related to this topic. And next is include the theory's name, their contribution, and key ideas. And the last one is shows how the theory applies to different forms of media. Okay, let's jump first in research and find relevant sources. The 2004 enlargement of the European Union increased the demand for translated cookbook as the hotel, restaurant, and catering industry hired chefs from abroad. According to Samuel Son Brown in 2004, successfully culinary translator must not only have linguistic expertise but also understand kitchen environments, ingredient substitution, and cultural differences to ensure accuracy and functionality in translated recipes. Translation is more than just language conversion. It involves cross cultural communication and requires creativity to balance faithfulness to the source with relevance to the target audience. As Pirsanu says in 2023, translators must decide between domestication, like adapting content for the target culture, and foreignization, like preserving original cultural elements when handling culinary texts. According to Paradowski in 2020, cookbook translators serve as an accurate information tool for a knowledgeable audience, which means precision play a crucial role in this. Any differences in techniques, ingredients, or measurements could affect the recipe outcome. This complexity makes culinary translation a demanding yet essential process in bridging cultural through food. Race in 1971 categorizes text into four types. So there is any informative, expressive, operative, and audiomedial. In informative, the language dimension used to transmit the information is logical or referential. The content or topic is the main focus of the communication. So the example, for example, in this slide is like manuals and textbook. Next is expressive. The author or sender uses the aesthetic dimension of language. So in this slide, for example, is more like literature and poetry. Next is operative. In this point, operative is aimed to persuade the reader or receiver of the text to act a certain way. So for example, it's more like advertisement or political speech. And the last one is audiomedial. Audiomedial is combined language with visual or sound. Yeah, it's for example in this slide is films and commercial. Considering this research aims to highlight Ray's theory on instruction text and recipes, it is safe to say that such text is categorized in the informative text type. According to Ray's, the translation should prioritize clarity, accuracy, and functionality for it to be understood and correctly followed by the audience. Katharina Reis has contributed in the field of translation studies. Her contribution is to understanding of text typology and the functional approach to translation. And there are some key ideas from Katharina Reis. The first one is text typology. The second one is functional equivalence. And the last one is text variety. So in this slide, there is any four types in here. The first one is information text type. The second one is operative text type. The third one is audiomedial text type, and the last one is expressive text type. First is information text type. So in this slide, we have example translating cookbook. And in this book, Pat Tanumiarja using two translation strategy and four techniques. The translation strategy is adaptation and localization, and technique are established equivalent is translating soy sauce as ketchup asin in Indonesia. Next is adaptation. If an English cookbook says bake at 375 Fahrenheit for 20 minutes, but Indonesian oven Celsius, it might be translated as panggang pada suhu 190 Celsius selama 20 menit. Because in Indonesia, it's more common to use Celsius than Fahrenheit. Next is generalization. If a recipe calls for scallions, but the equivalent term is not well known, the translator might use daun bawang, which cover multiple types of green onions in Indonesia. And the last one is transposition. So for example, in her book is chop the onion finely or potong bawang hingga halus. And for the next example of information text type is translating The Joy of Cooking by Irma for a French audience. So Irma using two translation strategy is localization and cultural adaptation. And Irma in her book using four techniques, there are established equivalence, adaptation, generalization, and transposition. In established equivalence, using French culinary word that the target audience is already familiar with soup instead of soap. In adaptation is adapting recipes to include ingredients that are locally available and traditional French cooking techniques. In generalization is making simple complex cooking techniques easier for home cooks to understand. And the last one is transposition is modifying the structure of a sentence to fit the natural flow of the French language. Next is operative text type. So in this case, we have translating recipe instructions on instant noodle packaging. So for example, like Western noodle translated for Indonesian market. So they use two translation strategy. There are simplification and domesticating translation. And for the techniques, they use four techniques. They are linguistic comparison. So for example, like this noodle is made with carefully selected ingredients to bring you an authentic taste. When it is being translated to Indonesian, it becomes mie ini dibuat dengan bahan pilihan untuk rasa autentik. Next is adaptation. In the source text, it is spicy miso noodle. In the target text, it becomes mie miso pedas, keeping the key term but adjusting word order naturally. Next is modulation. It's expressing the same meaning in a different way. So for example, we have a bowl of rich umami flavors to semangkuk mie dengan rasa umami yang kaya. So next is generalization. So for example, in this case is soyu noodle with menma and ajitama would be translated as mie kecap dengan topping khas instead of specifying menma and ajitama, which may not be familiar to all customers. Next is audio medial text type. In this slide, we have translating Gordon Ramsay's cooking tutorials for subtitles or dubbing. Gordon Ramsay's using two translation strategy. There are condensation and localization. Gordon Ramsay also using six techniques. There are linguistic compression, reduction, adaptation, transposition, modulation, and established equivalence. For the first one, linguistic compression is shortening spoken text while preserving meaning to fit subtitle constraints. And for the reduction is cutting filler words like you know, well, or I mean in casual speech. Next is adaptation. If a recipe video mentions Thanksgiving dinner, it could be changed to Idul Fitri feast for Indonesian audience. Transposition is changing grammatical structures while keeping the meaning. Next is modulation, changing the perspective or focus of a sentence while preserving meaning. And the last one is establish equivalent, translating piece of cake into gampang banget instead of direct translation about cake. The other example is translating the cooking show MasterChef for subtitles in Spanish. So in MasterChef, they are using two translation strategy. They are condensation and the second one is cultural localization. In MasterChef, they are also have technique translation. There are four technique. First one is reduction. Reduction is reducing the length of explanation to fit the time limitation of subtitles while also maintaining clarity. Next is adaptation. Adaptation is modifying cultural references and idiomatic phrases so that they can be understood by a Spanish-speaking audience. And the third one is transposition, is adjusting sentence structure to match the rhythm and flow of spoken Spanish. And the last one is establish equivalent, using culinary terms that are familiar and suitable for the audience cultural context. And the last one, we have expressive text type. In this slide, we have Translating Ode to a Tomato by Pablo Neruda for an English-speaking audience. Pablo Neruda in Ode to a Tomato using two translation strategies. They are creative translation and aesthetic adaptation. Pablo Neruda in Ode to a Tomato also have four techniques or translation techniques in Ode to a Tomato. They are metaphor adaptation, rhythm preservation, imagery enhancement, and cultural resonance. Metaphor adaptation. Metaphor adaptation is changing tomato-related metaphor. Metaphor adaptation in Ode to a Tomato is changing tomato-related metaphors to represent its culinary significance in English-speaking cultures while keeping the emotional depth of the original. And next is rhythm preservation in Ode to a Tomato is keeping the lyrical quality of the poem by making sure that the translated lines flow perfectly and are pleasant to read aloud. Next is imagery enhancement. Imagery enhancement in this context is using rich imagery to describe the tomatoes so as to enhance the sensory experience for the reader. And the last one is cultural resonance. Cultural resonance in this context is inserting references to a familiar dishes or cultural practices that involve tomatoes that connect with English-speaking readers. And that's all. If you have any question, you can type it in comment section below. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.